The sermon today is wrapped around the pledge drive, which we are a part of, and just acknowledging that how we are known and one of our distinctive ministries, how we see the face of God, is through the Safe Parking Program, and the sermon today is actually going to be a conversation and a little bit of testimony from Celia and April about what it's like to live out in the Safe Parking Program. At the end of this, we'll look at the time, but I'm hoping to be able to gather up a couple of questions that you might have. This is an opportune time to ask those. And so come on up. Let's give them a little love as they come up.
Good morning. My name is April. Some of you know me. What the Safe Parking Program means to me is that I was taken off the streets. I was on the streets for several months, and I was harassed by the police. I almost got arrested, and I found this place through, of all things, a dog rescue. She told me there was a place that I could go because I was afraid that I was going to lose my dogs, I was going to be arrested. And so I came in, and I was so relieved because then I could sleep. I have been welcomed by everybody that I've met, and I do appreciate everybody's kindness and generosity for offering this place.
Sorry. My name is Celia. I'm here with my family. My 13-year-old boy who is severely autistic, and my 9-year-old daughter, Grace, and my husband who has been suffering from bipolar and has diabetes. And my kids' support animals are 4 guinea pigs. We came here last year after we had bought an RV that we had planned to live in that actually burnt up in flames after we got it. So we researched where we could go, and we found this place. Sorry. And it has basically saved our lives. This program, the volunteers, Karina, everyone. Thank you.
So as you can see, I want to thank him. This is an act of courage to come up and suddenly look at all of us. And I appreciate it. And again, the reason I even asked is it's so important for us to have a heart grasp of what this church is all about. Because what has expanded, and this is for everyone, what has expanded here is way beyond charity. You've gone way beyond throwing a few shekels somewhere. There are so many relationships that you have built and continue to be built, and that's the secret sauce of Christianity, by the way. That's the magic, to be able to see the face of God in another and to give something of your life and to receive something that you might not even expect. And so I really appreciate your bravery in coming up and just helping us have this conversation. A couple questions that I had planned, and so that you both can share a bit. And April, again, to start with you, if you just share a little bit about your own struggles to find housing and what future steps look like for you.
The reason that I'm here is because my income does not allow me to get an apartment. I don't make enough money to qualify for what most apartment communities ask. So I'm in the process of trying to find a position that will allow me to get into housing. It's not easy, because the housing market in this area is very extreme. I guess that's the best way to put it, because even if I did have, you know, an increase in my income, it would still be a struggle for me to afford an apartment. And it's very difficult in this area, like I said. Well, I'm not really sure about that, because I'm at a point right now where I haven't progressed in my efforts to look for an apartment, because I mean, it's just my circumstances right now are unstable, so I'm not able to look for an apartment. So, and if I do get another position, I might be able to look for something. I know that's probably not something that most people can, unless you're in that situation. It's kind of hard to understand.
We try to, for our kids' sake, to have like a normal day as much as possible. Especially for Daniel, if something is off in his routine, and every day he can have a massive meltdown. And it gives him, he gets really bad anxiety, he freaks out. Grace is also very sensitive. She has struggled also emotionally, but this place has helped a lot with that, because of all the great people who run this program. Even the teachers at the Kineo school let them play with the kids when they're at recess. The kids look forward to community dinners every Wednesday. So yeah.
It's an opportunity. And Arden's got a mic that he's walking around with, and it's an opportunity for you, if you've got a question you would like to ask, these are the experts. And if there's one you'd like to, that's burning on your heart that you would like to ask, this is the time to do it. Just slip up your hand, Arden will find you. In the meantime, can you share a bit about, I mean, the temperature just took a fall. And if you could share with us a little bit about how do folks stay warm in their vehicles at night? With the guinea pigs and all.
Oh my, well, we have, for example, the 4 guinea pigs are 4 girls, and each pair is in these little, storage containers, and both of the containers are wrapped up in 4 layers of blankets, and they are at the end of our minivan, so they're just by our feet. And then the kids and I sleep in the back when we have the seats down, and when my husband is here, he sleeps in the front passenger seat. So it's very crowded. It's kind of like sardines in a can, kind of like. Yeah, and he works down in Tukwila for the postal service, and he works graveyard. And so basically when he works his 10.5-hour shifts, he has to commute each way with buses. That takes him like between 2 and 3 hours each way. So he's basically gone quite a few hours each day. Weekends are very hard because Sundays and Mondays he might start early. So a lot of those times we don't see him for like 30 or 48 hours. And if he's able to, he just naps in the break room, resting his head on the table. So yeah. What was the question?
Oh, yeah. I have 2 dogs, so a Black Lab and a Jack Russell Terrier. So for me, I have blankets and my dogs. We share our body heat, so I don't get cold.
Are your children picked up by a school district? Do they attend school?
Right now, we are looking into having them homeschooled, but the next enrollment for that one that is locally here is in December. But yes, I do have a person from the Lake Washington School District that is working with us.
So, I live in a house.
Yes, I've heard that it can be very hard being homeless in terms of a lot of costs that people don't realize, and that it's very expensive being homeless. And so I thought maybe you'd like to share some of the things that end up being a lot more costly than normal living in a home where you have a set address.
Yes, is this on? Okay. One of the costs is food. We have to be able to store food in our vehicles, which means we either have to have some refrigeration or some way of keeping it from spoiling. Also the food itself, because we're not able to go into a kitchen at any time and prepare meals or store meals in refrigeration. We have to, for me especially, I eat out a lot. So because the kitchen here is not always open and it's not available, so that's the biggest cost for me is food.
Pretty much the same. Because I have to cook for a family, you know, it takes a while to cook for a full family. And not being able to do that when you need to is hard. And plus also, even though I have a big ice chest, like right outside my minivan, it's still not enough to have like a regular healthy diet, especially for my husband who has diabetes. That one is out of control. And then we have, you know, because of we live in our cars, it's not a normal insurance policy. So we have to pay a bit extra on that one too. So it's like a lot of, as April say, food that is easy to prepare. A lot of times that is things that you can stick into the microwave when that is available, or take out. A lot of pizza. I'm so sick of pizza right now. But yeah, and a lot of gas. And then we also try, so the kids have something to look forward to. We try and stay at a motel now and then so they can watch TV, sleep in a bed. We can all shower, do laundry. So yeah.
Hello. Do the kids get laughed at school, or are people aware, and not just your kids, but others that you know of?
I can say before, because in between when we were here last year and came back this year, we were staying with Mary's place for a time. And while we were still in the shelters, I heard a lot of stories of kids being picked at when they got back because their peers found out that they were homeless, living in a shelter. So that was very, very hard. Luckily, Daniel and Grace did not face that, but I've heard about it, and it was like one girl at the Mary's place. She was really, really harassed. They were being really mean to her. They took the few things that they had from her, and, you know, really bullied her because of it. So Mary's Place did provide some counseling, but they moved on. But yeah, I've heard stories of kids being bullied and harassed at school for being homeless, yes.
What can we do to make your lives easier?
I don't think it's any of what you can do. It's more like what can be done. Like the apartment complexes can stop being so strict about the requirements to rent to people. Cut some of the rental prices down. The requirement that you have to have nothing on your rental history from 2 to 5 years is ridiculous, or that you have to earn 3 times more than the rent. And when the rent is so high, even though, like my husband, he has a good job with the postal service, it's still not enough.
Like Celia says, really, your support in us is what we would like. But as individuals, it is going to be a lot bigger than just doing what you are doing now. It has to happen on a state level, a government level. We're not going to be able to get out of here or be able to get into housing without some sort of change from some government entity, because there's just no way for us financially to afford to live in the community. But we do appreciate it.
I mean, there are people here that has disabilities, who has less income on their social security, and no matter where they look, they cannot make it. Even if it's room share, it's still too high for them.
Thank you for being willing to share with us a bit, also to just to be with us in worship, be with us and share a bit of your life. Is there anything else you would like to say? Give them some love. Some of the things that we do, if you're not familiar with it, is we are fortunate to have Jess from Sophia Way here, who has an office here, and so that office and his person and the resources that he brings are available to the folks who are car camping. And what I want to lift up is Jennifer is just golden. She's the administrator and administrative assistant of this church, and basically she's basically a social worker in her function, and she knows stories and people and resources, but she also has what you cannot fund: a deep, deep care and commitment and love for these women and families. Women and children and families that are in our parking lot. We really got lucky in having her, and that is also part of our whole ministry. You can't tear it apart as an accessory of the church. It is who you are, and you are known for this ministry. And I hope that you're proud of this ministry. And every once in a while, we get really lucky. Every once in a while, we are able to help someone find housing, and it sticks. Every once in a while, we are able to improve a person's life. So they might be here for a couple of months, and then they move on, but they move on stronger and more focused. Every once in a while, we win, and we live for those victories. And so I wanted to end this section by simply saying thank you to the church, because the commitment of our resources into this ministry is not normal. So your heart is actually being played out every day of the week through your relationships that you're building, the care that you have for the people who are in our parking lot, and just the tension of how are we helpful as the body of Christ, knowing we can't fix it, but knowing that we're present to see the face of God in the other. You can't get into this church without walking through the parking lot. Thanks be to God.